ground, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started, it's the hardest. Talk around, don't disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. Yeah,
get your boots ready. We're about to go on a trip where we wrestle, nobody settling or calling it quits. You're here for the grit, betcha this stuff is amazing. You're stumbling? Welcome to the bump in the apron. Step into it, the hardest part of the ring. Here to bring fun, yeah, in this art he is king. It's the best thing, making sure you don't tap out. Don't go soft with the hardest podcast out. And it's not just another one, it's clear. Off the rest, in this content, none contest. Take the nonsense off the steps. You know it's nothing but pure gems when it's coming off the chest. Get it? Now it's time to sit and relax. Get your mind blown away, ain't no skipping this track. Have you paying more attention, no listening gap. Get everything I ever wanted, no giving it back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle, otherwise known as the hardest part of the ring. How we doing today, everybody? We're here. By golly, we're here. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. TNA, Bound for Glory, 2006. One of my personal favorite shows from TNA. At least I thought. I'll say that because look, I love this show for a couple reasons. Mainly. It's because it hails from Detroit, Michigan. More importantly, it does not hail from Orlando, Florida in the Impact Zone. Look, the Impact Zone, it has its charm, but man, it's just nice for them to kind of venture out every once in a while. And it was nice. This show feels like a pay-per-view is basically the thing here. We're in Detroit. It's a bigger audience. It's got a different setup. You don't have the traditional tunnels. A more traditional, like in the scheme of wrestling, just a stage with a ramp leading to a ring. But it felt grand, it felt special, and Bound for Glory, while this is only their second iteration of it, is it's their WrestleMania, if you're not aware. It's what they build to all year, and we see that in the main event with Jeff Jarrett and Sting. They've been building to this pretty much since the moment Sting debuted back in I think January, I believe it was. So, but that being said, man, and Sting and Jarrett is one example. There's a lot of things on this show that were not as good as I remember. I mean, talking about Jarrett, we'll talk about this in the podcast. So I'm not gonna harp too much about it here, but it just seems like, and there was a lot of personal stuff going on backstage, which may have contributed to it. It's almost like they gave up on Sting and Jeff Jarrett. Like, dude, in the beginning of the year, they were like stalking Sting at his house and at his kids' baseball games. They were brutally attacking him. Scott Steiner came in. They bashed him with a guitar to end Destination X. It seemed like every pay-per-view, Sting was getting his ass. Like in a couple months ago, Sting and Jarrett at Hard Justice, I believe it was, where Christian turned on him. It's a whole thing, right? And it feels like that all kind of the build. And again, we'll talk about this in the podcast, but it feels like the build just kind of wasn't there for Sting and Jarrett in this final stretch. Mainly, I believe, and I think this is a common theme throughout this entire show. Kurt Angle is in TNA now. We saw that at the end of No Surrender. Kurt Angle's coming to TNA, and he appeared on Impact the week before this show in his debut appearance. And this is the famous spot with the headbutt to Samoa Joe. And now he's here at Bound for Glory. He's the special enforcer in the main event. Plus, there's some other Kurt Joe shenanigans throughout this pay-per-view that we're about to cover. So it seems to me Kurt Angle came in and just shook everything up. Like nothing else matters but Kurt Angle. And which, is it warranted? Maybe a little bit, but it feels like everything kind of just felt a little secondary. Maybe that's just me. Although there were some good stuff on this show. Christian and Rhino, they have a street fight on this show. That's probably the strongest feud going at this point. And it was a pretty good match as well. Low Key and Chris Sabin for the X Division title, a rematch. We talked a lot in my last TNA show, No Surrender. They were doing all the jackass stuff. It was really bad. But here at Bound for Glory, man, they more than made up for it. In my opinion, maybe stealing the show, Chris Sabin and Low Key. Just some good stuff throughout this entire show. You got the steel cage match between LAX and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels for the tag titles. You got gauntlets. You got other matches. Monsters Ball. They're all over the place with this show. Some good stuff. Some bad stuff. Some stuff that's just puzzling, I guess would be the word. But we got a lot to get into. So like I said, I keep saying it over and over. I keep saying I'm not going to keep babbling, but I just keep babbling. We're going to get into it. But first of all, let me tell you this. If you like this era of TNA, hell, you like TNA in general, or maybe you're not too familiar with TNA. You would like to see how this company has progressed, how a lot of stars we see today were birthed, their early days, some legends during this era appear in and out. You want to see, if you want to follow this wacky ass timeline, I suggest you, hypothetical listener, go to apronbump.com and go to the episodes tab at the top and select. You can select any promotion, any era, any timeline that I cover. I cover a bunch of stuff. But if you want to filter it down to just TNA, go ahead, take those little fingies, and shut up, Outlook. Go and select TNA in the episodes tab. And that'll bring you to all of the TNA episodes I've covered. And I cover them chronologically. And I started from Victory Road 2004, their first monthly 3-hour pay-per-view. And I've covered every single one up until now. Almost 2 years worth at this point. And now we're at Bound for Glory 2006. It's a fun ride, a wacky ride. I strongly suggest you go and binge away because it's always a good time talking about this era of TNA. It has its ups and downs, but I think we're in a major up period for TNA. Lots of good stuff going on. Follow me on all the social medias while you're at it, while you're just doing stuff, while you have your hand on the mouse or whatever the hell. Go to Twitter, go to X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, MySpace, TikTok, analglands.com. Go follow me at Apron Bump all across the board, keeping it easy for you. And who else should I plug? Oh, maybe the guest on this show, the lovely, lovely Italian pistachio cake, Frank Mandolini from the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. One of my favorite. I'm definitely my go-to TNA guest for sure. Frank, kind of on a little bit of a hiatus on his podcast, but his stuff, he does a lot of great interviews and things like that are very evergreen. So it'd be worth going back and checking out the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. I'll put all his info in the description below. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. Frank does a lot of good work. He's a great follow on social media as well. So if nothing else, follow the boy on the Twitters and whatnot. So, and he's handsome and he has a lovely, lovely accent. So like, what more could you ask for? I mean, you feel like you're just being greedy if you want anything more than that. But always a good time with Frank, and we have a good old time talking some TNA on this show. So with that, let's just dive right in, shall we? TNA, Bound for Glory, 2006, with myself and Frank from the Last Minute Wrestling Podcast. Man, DMV represented. I like it.
Absolutely.
I like it. How many Dave Matthews concerts have you been to?
I think like five. Yeah, probably.
Okay. Yeah, I'm around the same boat, like 3 or 4-ish maybe, but hits every time, man.
Yeah. And they don't come often here in Italy, so it's more difficult to get to see them.
He's actually from my state. He actually lives, I don't know if he still lives there, but he's from like 3 hours north of me, so I'm a little spoiled.
Virginia?
Yes, sir.
You're a real Virginian?
Something like that.
A real virgin or something like that?
Hey, come on. I told you that in confidence. I don't know why you're just telling everybody that.
Because I want to be the one who pops your cherry, mate.
Well, I'm saying I tell my wife every night that I'm saving myself for Frank. So, and she's like, "Who's Frank?" And I'm like, "Mind your damn business."
For an handsome Italian guy, yeah, I get that.
I mean, yeah, and she's like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yeah.
Speaking of popping cherries,
Yeah.
I didn't really have any segue. No, but how you been, man? It's been a while.
I've been working a lot, actually. I've been not producing podcast content for like since WrestleMania, basically. Since
Right.
WrestleMania, I decided to like go on permanent hiatus, as the cool kids say. And let's see if I will have the time to resume doing my podcast, probably changing the format because one interview per week is not doable to me with my work schedule that I have at the moment. But yeah, apart from that, I've been good. And I've been spending way less time on Twitter and way less time with psychotic wrestling friends. Not friends, wrestling fans.
Right.
Fuck
you mean
em.
X.
Fuck 'em all.
You're not on the X anymore. You're an XXer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you Xing on X?
I'm Xing less and less as the days go on. I'm like you.
Yeah. And I see that we agree on many opinions. So yeah, that's I understand. I understand why.
I wouldn't have brought you on several times if I didn't. I guess you could disagree with somebody and not hate them.
Yeah.
I guess that's possible. You wouldn't know it with X and Twitter and stuff like that, but
my experience of wrestling consumption has been very, very good since spending less time on Twitter or whatever.
Wrestling is so much better if you're not tweeting while watching it or even looking at Twitter or any social media, really.
Wrestling is better if it's not shared.
Yes. Keep it to your damn self.
Keep it to yourself.
As we are recording a podcast for other people to listen to. But TNA is its own thing, right? It doesn't apply to
TNA is different. TNA is the best and fuck the rest, or whatever says Kurt Angle in a very sketchy promo. Yeah.
we got a lot of Kurt Angle to talk about on this show. It almost seems like, because Kurt Angle was just announced that he's coming to TNA at the last pay-per-view, No Surrender. And it feels like they just put a full stop on everything and just, here's Kurt Angle. At least that's how I felt. But I guess we can delve more into that later. But I guess overall, man, Bound for Glory 06. What'd you think about it?
I think it was a great pay-per-view. I think it was a great show, and had some really strong matches towards like the second half of the show. First half was like so, but at least everything was funny, at least to me. So I think it was worth watching. I mean, mid 2000 TNA is the best TNA, as we all know, and I'm glad I had the chance to revisit some of that every time you invite me on your show, man. So thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no Monty Brown on this show, no Triton.
No, unfortunately.
I don't think there are any Nazis. I could be wrong though.
No Nazis. No Nazis. But I have something for you up my sleeve. We will get to that.
Oh man, little tease, a little edging on our way there.
Yeah,
I get it.
So your listeners keep listening. That's
this guy. This guy knows how to podcast. Yeah. This is why I bring you on. Yeah.
A marketing genius.
You're like the Jake Roberts to my Abyss. You guide me. It's more foreshadowing, folks.
Mm-hmm.
We might not even get to it. Might just do all foreshadowing and leave it there. That's a concept.
Yeah. Or we can show each other our own pythons.
Ah, yes. I hear snakes grow when they get excited.
Yeah.
Penises. But we'll get to that. But yeah, man, Bound for Glory 06.
I don't know why on your show everyone talks about penises. I don't know why. I don't know what's that.
I'll take partial blame. It's kind of my defense mechanism sometimes. Here's my cock, and then it kind of puts everybody at ease.
Yeah, of course.
A blessing and a curse.
You must be great at parties.
No, I'm pretty terrible. I either fight people or just pet the cat in a corner. Or show my cock.
Okay, everybody. For the next 5 minutes, everybody look at my cock. Like it's more or less like that.
Look, mine's not one I can just whip out. I need to prepare it. We need to get a little fluff, a little heat. put it over the stovetop maybe a little bit. I can't just take it out willy-nilly, you know. That's not me.
Yeah, I know. It's not for everybody. I mean, you save it for the best occasions. I get that. I do the same.
Right. Yes. I mean, we're not all like you with a big calzone in your pants ready to be just unleashed, you know? Is that an Italian thing, or is that like an American thing that we took from Italy and just kind of made it stupid?
No. It's an Italian thing. It's an Italian thing. The calzone is called, which means trousers.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love trousers.
Plural in Italian. Yeah.
Okay. Look, we're learning. Yeah. We're learning ton of things today.
You see, we jump from like talking about cocks and learning languages.
See, that's breadth that we call it. We go deep.
I have another one for you, a very quick one.
Please.
Do you know that John Cena's name, like surname Cena, it's actually an Italian word?
Oh yeah, do tell.
Yeah, and it's not pronounced Cena; it's pronounced cena, which means dinner.
Oh, so
he is Giovanni Cena.
Giovanni, yes.
Giovanni,
yes.
yeah.
Is that what John's short for? Man.
Yes.
Who would have known?
Yeah.
Well, in my head, he'll be Giovanni Cena from now on. He's delicious, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what else is delicious? It's Bound for Glory, 2006. This was one of my and at least I'll say this. I don't know if the show, I think I had high expectations for this show, because this is like one of the shows that, like, when I first started watching TNA, it was just like this huge thing. Because they're in Detroit, they're out of the impact zone, which is like a very rare thing. So it automatically made it feel special. Just a change in scenery was great, like, alone. There were some good matches on this show, but there were a lot of weak points, I think. But
yeah, and I found fascinating. Sorry if I interrupt you, but we just had a SummerSlam in Detroit, and now we revisit a much better show in Detroit. Which is TNA for Glory 2006.
We'll put a poll up or something.
But yeah, this show I can put Bound for Glory 2006 against SummerSlam anytime.
I don't hate that opinion. I think I might be inclined to agree, to be honest.
It was a good show.
Yeah. Well, some parts of it were, but we'll get into that. But yeah, what do you think of the change in scenery? Because, you know, they don't have their typical tunnel set up. They have a more traditional one stage, big, you know, it's a bigger arena. At least it seemed like it to me. It had a different vibe to it, which made it feel like a pay-per-view, which is kind of like the main hindrance of TNA pay-per-views. That they're all in the impact zone. They kind of feel like just impacts. But this one felt like a pay-per-view, which is why it's one of my favorite shows. But yeah, what do you think of the vibe of this show?
Yeah, this one felt different, and from the opening package, and the seeing more people in the arena helped, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
you have, for sure. It's the first pay-per-view, as you said. It's the first pay-per-view where Kurt Angle appears, so you might want to have like a bigger arena for that. So I like that. I like that idea.
Right, and I mean, you have to have a big arena for the Kevin Nash Open Invitational X Division Gauntlet Battle Royal at Bound for Glory. So,
oh yeah. This is the match that I have more notes. That I took more notes about. You know what? Which every note ends with a question mark.
I think I might be on the same boat too. Yeah, go please.
The first note is Zack Gowan.
Now I have a question. I have a question about Zack, because obviously, for anyone unaware, has one leg. That's his thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But per the rules of an over-the-top battle royal, which is what this is, both feet have to touch the floor. So does that give him an unfair advantage? Is my question. Is he actually the winner, and we just don't know it?
I think he's the winner, and he has been from 2006 to 2023. Yeah, it's unbeaten at this match.
Well, maybe we can finally finish the Kevin Nash Open sometime in Impact, sometime down the road here in the future.
Yeah, and I love that time of TNA where Kevin Nash just said, fuck it, let's do silly things with those vanilla midgets and stuff like that.
I adore this.
Enjoying that. He was clearly enjoying the fact that he did not have to wrestle, and he just did stupid stuff like the.
Well, he's going to revitalize the X Division Franklin. You see, he's because he's a well-known high flyer himself. Like he's kind of a pioneer of the X Division style. So he's here to kind of bestow his knowledge to these youngins here.
Absolutely.
Coming out here. So Kevin Nash is here, obviously, in his giant suit. I mean, it's the biggest suit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And he has a trophy. It's a big trophy for the winner. But there might be a bowler on top of it, not a wrestler, but that's details we don't really care about, right?
No. Who cares?
No. Who cares? And so the rules of this, so 2 people start and people come out in, I don't know, every minute or 2 minutes. Doesn't really matter. And it's over the top rope rules until it's the final 2. And then it becomes a match, which is a stipulation that I like. Like TNA gets shit for like their complex stipulations, but I feel like that makes sense in this context.
Of course.
But I'm not even gonna. We're just gonna kind of stumble upon names in this match as we get to them, I guess. But there's like, I don't know, 12, 13 people in this. Can we talk about the new X Division sensation that is A1 for a second?
A1, from Team Canada. Team Canada. He was, I'm a big fan of Team Canada. And so it was, they apparently, after the Team Canada disbanded, they recycled him like in the X Division, not to be seen again forever since 2006, probably.
Don't tell me that. Oh, I had high hopes for him facing Ultimate X matches, Elevation X matches. I wanted to see A1 in those, but you're telling me that doesn't happen?
No, I don't think so. I think it's not gonna be part of the world title picture. Let's say that.
Damn. Well, I'll just hold hope that you're misremembering as I continue on this journey.
Okay.
But we do have so to start, we got Sanjay Dutt taking on Austin Starr. A Star is Born.
Yeah. Austin Starr. I've in fact, so when he participated at the was it Cruiserweight Classic? No, even before that, it was in TNA. He had that world title round later, like in 2012 or something like that. And I remembered him as Austin Starr because I had no idea about his real name.
I was about to say, I was. This is how I was introduced to Austin Aries. Was as Austin Starr. So it was like,
me too. I was like, why Austin Starr changed his gimmick to Austin Aries?
Yeah,
but
because he's here. He's so he had a brief stint in TNA before this. This is when him and Alex Shelley and like even Roddy Strong, like they were all introduced, but they were all kind of the same, just short hair, tights guys. Yeah. So it's good to see like both Austin Aries and Alex Shelley later in this match. Both it's like a year later after that, and they both have these really like strong, very dramatic characters. Let's say. So they're figuring things out, but yeah, Austin Starr debuting here, and man, so him and Sanjay go at it for a bit. I mean, the action. I don't have a ton of notes on the action. I just have
it's impossible. You just have to have notes about the names.
What do you think? What are your thoughts of Sorelda, who makes an appearance in this match?
This is note number 2 that your pal Frank took. So note number 2: who the fuck is Sorelda, and why is she dressed as Funaki? That is my note.
So her only other pay-per-view appearance, I believe, or she might have had 2, whatever it is, but it was a few months ago, and my guests also compared her to Funaki. It's like it's so on the nose. The blue, short tights shorts and the white top. It's like, but she was
the winner, TNA number 1,
TNA number 1 announcer.
That
she was the winner of Gut Check, which I don't know if you're familiar with Gut Check, but it was her and I forgot who the male winner was. Apparently it didn't matter. But Sorelda was actually involved with AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels for a while. She was like their female member to stop Gail Kim, basically, to feud with Gail Kim, because they were feuding with AMW, so she was there to neutralize Gail Kim. But it was very brief, and I mean, I don't think I've heard her ever have a promo or anything, so I don't know if she was just bad on the mic or what, but that's probably why we haven't heard of her.
And she spent like 30 seconds in the ring. I mean, when she entered, everybody was like, Don West, of course, the late great, was like, oh, Sorelda. It's like 30 seconds later, she's gone. Okay.
Did you pop
Thanks.
more for Sorelda or Shocker?
Shocker remains my number one.
Because you at least knew him from the McDonald's commercial, right? So
No, I had no idea
nobody,
about that.
Nobody did. Yeah, Sorelda's in there for like 30 seconds, like you said. And in those 30 seconds, she got bitch slapped by Kazarian and kicked right in the pussy by Austin Starr. So that was her contribution to this match.
Which is on point with Austin Starr behavior in TNA later on. What he
It's
was
very
doing
on brand,
to
right?
SoCal Val. Yeah, it's on brand. Yeah.
I mean, she sold it though. The low blow from Austin, and Don West is like, "Oh, I don't know if that's gonna do anything to her." But
judging from her look, she might have a bigger clitoris than our penises combined. So
yeah definitely got some China,
definitely.
veins in it for sure. Ahead,
she uses it as a scarf.
It's a penis. Okay. But then Zack Gowan comes out, and we talked about him. I don't think he lasted too long either. I don't know. What other notes kind of sparked your interest here?
I had like D-Ray 3000, and
of course,
I had never heard of him, of course. But I was like, I think Heya was still very fashionable in 2006. You know, Andre 3000, D-Ray 3000. He had the same hair. Like, probably
was that what he was going for? I guess, right? I don't know what else.
I think so. Why would you call yourself D-Ray 3000?
So apparently, because Shark Boy's in here as well, and I guess at one point they were a tag team. I don't know if this is like during the Asylum years of TNA, but I was not aware of D-Ray at all, nor the partnership, and ultimately didn't. I mean, he was kind of like a Andre, Eric Andre. Are you familiar with the comedian?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
kind of had that kind of vibe to him, but he wasn't too long for this world. Norman Smiley's here. I mean, the Big Wiggle. Oh, he has. Him and what's his name? Short Sleeve Samson is here.
Yeah. It was what I was about to say that. Yeah, that was weird. And
you a big short sleeve Samson guy?
No.
He's.
But I can say this is my favorite match of his.
He's. I don't know if he had any. Because TNA had a minis division at some point. I don't know if he was a part of that or not, but he's here. He has to get help from Slick Johnson to get in the ring because he's a little person. And him and Norman do the Big Wiggle and the Little Wiggle next to each other on Shelley and Austin, I think it was.
Yeah, that's wrestling.
What else we got here? Oh, Slick Johnson's here. He like gets because Short Sleeve Samson gets eliminated. And he chases Slick Johnson. I don't know if they're like related or if they have some sort of past. I don't really care. But
gold, probably. That's
yes. Well, short Dick Sampson apparently doesn't like Slick, so he chases him around the ring into the ring. So Slick is in the ring, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm in the match now." And he takes his shirt off and pretty much gets eliminated right away.
And he is more jacked than half of the competitors in the ring. More jacked than D-Ray 3000 for sure. But then we have my hero, Elix Skipper, coming in. And he gives himself a concussion immediately in the most spectacular way. I mean, this is a guy who walked at an unimaginable height above a cage to do what was like a Hurricane Rana, which is to this day, I think, the best TNA.
It's the best spot in TNA history for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's that everybody says the best match is the Unbreakable 3-way, and this is the best spot, the one that people remember. In this match, however, it wasn't as smooth. Let's say this.
Well, so he's like they tried to capitalize on him walking the cage, but man, it's amazing how botchy he is, but the cage spot he was able to hit. Like, thank God he didn't botch that, because that could have been very bad. But like, he tried to incorporate that in his offense. Like, he would set his opponent on the top rope and then walk on the ropes and run to him, but it would always look clunky and bad.
So
But
basically, yeah, I don't know if you remember what happened here in this match, but
tell me.
basically it just enters the ring, goes immediately on the top rope on the left corner,
Hmm.
and probably stumbles on his own feet or something because no one was around him.
No, well, let me
And-
tell you. So he was on the top rope, and I think it was Kaz was doing a springboard off the top rope, like adjacent to
Yeah.
him, and I think that like shook the ropes and knocked him down.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it wasn't on him. Plus, Elix did hit a really slick looking springboard moonsault right before that. So I won't
Okay,
put
okay.
it all on Elix here in this match, but it is funny just how unlucky this dude is. Like, because he hops to the top rope after that moonsault, and Kaz does like something over the top rope, and it's like, oh, and then he falls right on his fucking head. And that's pretty much
Yeah.
it for him in this one.
And he spent the rest of the match in the corner sitting because he was clearly concussed, in my opinion.
Vomiting, probably. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. It was like it wasn't moving. It was that, and you had people like fake punching him. Like, it was
Right.
there. I can't even remember how it was eliminated. To be honest.
No, I don't think it really matters. It might not even been on camera for all we know.
Oops.
Let me ask you this. Does anyone have worse attire than Maverick Matt and Kazarian here? What the hell are we doing here?
Kazarian was very like Britney Spears, circa 2000, like with this denim, with light neon stuff.
Right. They're like gay
I
cowboy
like that.
pants.
Yeah.
But they also have like rips in the front, like they're trying to be
Yes.
like, I don't know. It's just a mix of different things that I don't think works. I guess they're trying to have a character.
I mean, in 2006, that worked. I remember a lot of people used to have that ripped jeans.
You're right. Maybe I'm just looking with 2023 eyes. And
I mean, look at us now. Look at how we dress sharply in this very moment. So,
I mean,
but if
yeah.
you compare with what we did in 2006, so we have to be more forgiving.
Ooh. What does a Frank Mandolini outfit look like in 2006?
In 2006,
Yes.
Frank Mandolini had long blonde hair
Oh.
up down to my butt, more or less.
Yeah.
And I will send you a picture so you can show it to your
Please.
audience.
I'll make it the thumbnail.
And I had no beard, long hair. I was like probably like with a band's t-shirt, just like now.
Yeah.
And like, how do you call it? Like the big trousers with like at the end
Cargo
they
pants?
no, not cargo pants. I don't know the
Boot cut
translation of it.
jeans, Jenko jeans.
Like the 70s style with very large jeans.
Oh, okay. Zubaz? No, those are something else.
Probably. Yeah. I have no
I can
idea.
picture it in my head though. I can picture it. That's all I do. I'll put that in the spank bank.
And probably with some all stars on my feet.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it. That
It
was
was
I also had blonde hair for a bit. I didn't have long hair, but I had the boy band kind of tips. I was big into undershirts and t-shirts, cargo jeans, cargo jeans, or carpenter jeans, whatever.
Okay.
Skate shoes of some sort, even though I never skated.
Oh yeah, me either.
Yeah, no beard either. That was a treat. Let me tell you. But I might have looked like Austin Starr here, you could say. But speaking of which, sorry, I
googled it. Flared pants is what the word.
Oh, thank God!
For.
Thank God we got that answer.
Pants.
People, you can't leave people on the cliffhanger
now
like that.
Now you can picture me with flare pants. And sorry if I interrupt you again. But
no, please.
In 2006, there was the what you call soccer World Cup, which Italy won, and I cannot give a shit about football, but
Right.
it was I'm very atypical, but it was an occasion to get drunk as fuck with my friends because of course, and I vividly remember that we were watching the game at my friend's house, and when we came out, I had 2 cans of beer, very cheap beer. It was like 39 cents, 39 cents per can of beer. So extremely cheap shit. And I mean, I'm drunk. We just won the world championship, or in my head, the world heavyweight championship.
Right.
How did you think that I celebrated with 2 cans?
You gotta smash them together, right?
Of course I did. Of course I did. It was like I was so fucking drunk. I thought I was Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was
hell
like,
yeah,
what? Hell yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, very Italian, very Italian.
He stole that gimmick from Shark Boy. I'll never forgive Steve Austin.
Yeah, that bold bastard.
But Shark Boy, everybody gets eliminated except for Jay Lethal and Austin Starr, who are the final two. So all the hoopla and all the bullshit. You got 2 legit X Division guys here.
Yes.
To close it out. And they have a brief match. Ultimately, Austin wins with the Star Buster, which is a brain buster, but it's his last name.
Which was very sweet. I mean,
he has a great brain buster.
Perfectly executed move. Yeah, it was very good. And just to mention, towards the end of the match, also P.T. Williams entered the frame, and still to this day, nobody's doing the Canadian Destroyer like him. And
dude, it was crazy to see how the crowd popped for just the tease of the Canadian. That just shows how it's like been diluted since then. Just the mere like hope that it's going to happen made that huge arena, or huge in relation to what they're usually made everybody pop like hell. And then when he hit it, I mean, it just exploded. So
and to be honest, I have no idea what he does different, but I'm sure there is something in his execution of the move that people don't do these days. These days, you can tell it's a fucking funny move. Every time that skinny bastard of Adam Cole does this Panama Sunrise, I fucking hate it. It's a terrible move. I think Cena used to do a pretty decent Canadian Destroyer, in my opinion. If you remember, he busted it out in against Kevin Owens in 2015 or something.
Well, it's more of a code red, though, right? I guess it's kind of similar.
Yeah,
because he didn't land on his head. Maybe he did a few times. I don't know. Knowing John Cena,
but I don't know what P.T. Williams does, but it's different from everyone else, and it's fucking believable. As absurd as that move is. Yeah, I see P.T. Williams doing it, and I say, okay, he could technically do that.
Right. Yeah, it's like the setup. It's like how he builds to it, because it's not just like a side, like, oh, let me jump off here and then off of here, and then boom, here's a destroyer, then I'll do some super kicks. It's like, here's a destroyer, boom, hits it, and then covers. Like, it makes it feel like a big deal. So
okay. Let's go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. Just Austin Starr with his half Young Bucks, half Rick Rude attire here, and his earrings and his makeup and his whatever the hell gets the win here. So we're off to the races with Austin Starr. But yeah. Any other thoughts on that one?
It was a good match. It was I mean, it's a fun opener. It was filled with crazy characters at some points, but yeah, it's more or less like the Royal Rumble, so you cannot have like 30 entrants that are all very serious wrestlers. I mean, you gotta have some break spots here and there. So yeah, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's the epitome of a warm-up match. Yeah, it's just here's some names, here's some funny characters. Let's get ready to have some more serious stuff. But there's actually kind of 2 warm-up matches in all reality, because after that we got a 4-way tag team match. So we got AMW versus Team 3D versus the Naturals versus the James Gang.
My only note for this match is the James Gang ? Yeah, I did not remember at all them calling themselves, because I remember them from their Voodoo King Mafia phase,
that's coming up later. I think.
Yeah, it's coming up, because the James Gang wasn't working at all.
Dude, it was. I remember the James Gang being, because this is like, again, when I like started watching TNA, I remember seeing them and being like, I couldn't care any less about these guys. So. And that's kind of, we're just throwing some tag teams in this match. Team 3D they went to Japan for a few months, came back, and were basically like, you know what? We don't want a title shot right away, even though we could have one. We want to work our way from the bottom. So that's why they're here. And then, I mean, it's pretty much all the teams that aren't in the tag team title match is what we're doing here. And it's pretty much just every person, every team playing their hits. Like it was a pretty quick match. It was pretty much just right to the finish. It felt like where everybody's taking turns hitting their finishers. They're both singles and double teams, but I don't know. Otherwise, what do you think about this one?
I didn't like this match very much. As you said, it was like the best of every team involved, especially for the Team 3D for obvious reasons. And they just needed to raise their stocks and in the chase of the NWA World Tag Titles. So it was. I mean, it's the biggest event in TNA, Bound for Glory. So to get a win at that event means something more than if they did that on Impact. So
it's again just 3D on Andy Douglas for the win. So 3D gets the win, like you said, just kind of building their stock for their eventual tag team title win. And Shane Douglas, by the way, is along with the Naturals. He introduces them before the match, and then after the match, when Andy Douglas loses, he comes out and berates them. And I guess we're just further. And it kind of seems like they're spinning their wheels with the Naturals storyline. It feels like it's at this point it's been going on for a few months, and they haven't really made any progress. It feels like so. And I know they kind of fade away eventually, so I can kind of see why watching this, but but so after that, Jake Roberts is backstage because he's going to be the special guest referee in the next match. And he's backstage with Jeremy Borash, and he says that he's going to show Jeremy his snake.
Yes. And again, is he hitting on Borash? It's like
he was.
Is this what's going on?
The way he was touching Borash's collar and it wasn't even innuendo. It was pretty direct what he was saying. So we'll keep an eye on that one, I guess.
Yeah, like Jeremy boy, tell us if we have to help you with Jake or something like that.
Look,
it was like it was like the image of Michael Cole getting dry humped by Heidenreich, but more subtle.
Similar.
More subtle.
Heidenreich or Jake Roberts? Who would you rather?
Oh, Jake Roberts.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
He's
I don't even know
he's
why
a legend, so I can add that to my resume.
I don't like how quick that came out of your mouth, but we'll move on.
It's not the quickest thing that ever came out of my mouth.
Out of it. Well, we got a Monsters Ball. Speaking of draining balls, we got a Monsters Ball match here. 4-way. Special guest referee. It's Jake the Snake Roberts. So we got Brother Runt versus Raven versus Abyss versus Samoa Joe. What a cast of characters here, including the ref.
Yeah, it's like the start of a joke. You have you have a Samoa Joe, Brother Runt, Raven, etc. entering a bar, something like that. Yeah, it's some wrestler that you could bet your house that they never share the ring.
Oh my God, yeah.
Even once in their life. But they did, actually. They did. I cannot remember a lot of this match. Because I think it was very spot heavy. I mean, it's a Monster Ball match. So, Brother Runt or Spike Dudley demonstrates once again how he's the toughest son of a bitch in pro wrestling. It takes throughout his career and in this match as well. It took fucking crazy bumps all over the place.
When Abyss just tossed him like 20 feet in the air.
yeah. And he's so light that the table even did not break. So So basically, that must have hurt like hell, because when the table breaks, it gives a little bit, and you have you feel it less on your body, but it was like thud, like that.
You can see him
Like,
bounce.
whoa,
Yeah.
fuck. That must have hurt like hell.
It was, I mean, it's a Monsters Ball match. You could probably guess how this match goes, and you'd be pretty close to it. I mean, they fight all over the arena here. Like you said, they fight their way to the like scaffold, like stage area. Spike and Abyss climb it. Abyss choke slams Runts, and just the way he like, it wasn't a clean looking choke slam. It was like a spinning deal, and then Runt, like you said, doesn't go through the table that they have set up below it. He just like bounces off of it. And then Abyss does like a coffin drop basically off of the scaffold through I don't even know if he broke the table.
Kind of, but wonderful decision by the director to only show a shot of Jake the Snake Roberts' face.
Not even really reacting to it either.
Yeah, it was like just like that. And after like 10 seconds, you had Mike Tenay saying, "Okay, now we're going to show you the replay." So because we saw just the reaction of Jake the Snake Roberts, like, yeah, do it, please.
No, you have one job. It's the most TNA thing.
And it's amazing how, I mean, it's been nearly 20 years and you clearly had more cameras rolling, right? So in the digital version that you put out, why the fuck did you have to keep the wrong footage? Couldn't
they're
you
not
just
going back to
change
2006. No, that's there forever. Oh man. Well,
okay.
Samoa Joe's here as well. He's kind of the outlier here. I should say also the build to this match, because Runt, Raven, and Abyss had been feuding for a while. Just, the hardcore kind of sector of the roster. They've been feuding back and forth. Samoa Joe was kind of just thrown into this match because he didn't really have anything else going on. He's also in the midst of a feud with Kurt Angle, which we'll touch on later. He's also was like in the build to the main event, which is Jeff Jarrett versus Sting for the NWA title. Joe on all the impacts leading up to this, he stole the title, and they kept trying to get the title from him, but he kept beating up whoever tried to get it, and then he would walk away with it. So he's been involved in the world title scene. He's been involved with Kurt Angle, and the other three guys in this match are basically like, "Hey, why aren't you paying attention to us?" And that's kind of the story here, is that Samoa Joe doesn't care about this match, but he ends up winning. So
yes,
the fuck you guys, I guess. So I guess he does care, but
yeah.
Tax get involved, of course, as per any Abyss match. There is a funny moment where Abyss has his sack of Tax, and then Jake Roberts has his sack with the snake in it, and they're like, "Oh, whose sack's bigger?" kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not how big your sack is how you use it.
I think you kind of want a smaller sack, right? Because it makes the shaft look bigger. Right? Am I wrong or am I right? Yeah.
Probably. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll ask A1. I'm sure he has a tiny sack.
Yeah, with all those steroids. Yeah.
Exactly. But Tax get laid out, and ultimately Abyss ends up taking it because he gets, I think Samoa Joe kicks him, so it knocks Abyss on his knees so that he's on all fours, over the Tax. And then Samoa Joe does a running senton onto the back of Abyss, sending Abyss face first into the Tax. Then Jake Roberts gives a DDT to Raven because I think they were jawing back and forth or whatever. I think Raven punched him, knocked him out.
Yeah, it was questioning his authority.
Yeah. Then Jake hits the DDT, which that's why he's here, I guess, to throw out a DDT.
Yeah.
And then Joe hits the muscle buster on
Jeremy
Raven.
Borash.
Yes, to rape Jeremy Borash and to do a DDT. That's all Jake needs to do. That's what he's paid for.
That's his gimmick.
That was in his contract, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Joe wins with the muscle buster over Raven, and then Jake puts his snake on Raven.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
For reasons.
Yeah. He's Jake, Jake Roberts. That's what he does. But I don't know. Any other notes on this one?
No, I'm glad it was over.
It was.
It wasn't a bad match, but not even a good one. I cannot. It was okay, let's get this over with, and I'll
put it this way: when the build is, hey, this guy doesn't care about this match, it doesn't make the viewer care about the match. One of the guys
Yes.
doesn't really care about it. I don't know, but
Yeah,
it was
probably.
a spot fest. It was, it's tax. Makes the crowd happy, I guess. But
Probably.
speaking about shit I don't care about, we got Larry Zbyszko versus Eric Young in a loser gets fired match. Crickets.
I didn't even take any notes on this match because it was so for fuck's sake, it was so fucking quick. I think it was like 3 minutes or something.
Thank God.
And this phase of Eric Young was very weird. It's fondly remembered by the people, but I think they were playing off of Eugene in WWE in some way. There was always a hint that Eric was a special guy that could be just like every other child. It was very, very like that, in my opinion. Which is something that I mean, they often in TNA they often used Eric Young to mimic what was going on in WWE when he won the title. When he won the title and he had like the big beard like Daniel Bryan and stuff. I mean, so yeah, but finally Larry Zbyszko fired from TNA. That's the good news.
God, dude, I haven't cared about one thing Larry Zbyszko has been involved with. His feud with Raven, even him as an authority figure is annoying. Just get this dude out of here. I guess he's fired, according to the stipulation. But yeah, I didn't really have much notes on this one either. I mean, Eric Young is super over at this point. So if nothing else, it's a way to get Eric out there. He was fired on Impact. Now he earned his job back, and like you said, it was a quick match. So I wasn't offended by this match, but again, I just couldn't. Really care
me
less
neither.
about
But I wanted to skip it. So
I mean, Larry Zbyszko. I mean, he has the physique, though, right? I mean, he's coming out here in his Riviera jacket and his he can still go, right? That abdominal stretch,
eating steaks.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, abdominal stretch. That is one of the silliest moves in wrestling. I think we already discussed that.
How dare you? You don't like the abdominal stretch?
It's like every time it was like, dude, just move out of that.
I'm gonna come over. If I ever see you, I'm gonna put you in abdominal stretch, and then we're gonna change that tone of yours. Okay, buddy? That's a finish in my book.
I had a pretty well, not big, but a pretty big argument for me at least about the least effective wrestling move. And to me, I mean the one that looks the fakiest. I don't know. And to me, it's the figure four. It has always been the figure four. It's so fucking stupid. When I relax on my sofa, I put myself in this figure four, and trust me, it's not that hard.
I don't know if it has the same effect if you do it to yourself. It's like tickling yourself. You can't do it.
No, it's the same thing. It's like the same fucking thing. And it's when they reverse it, it's even stupider. But yeah, it's like a fucking fake move. It takes forever to set it up, and it's like, oh, okay, so this is the position where people go on vacation and they they are on the beach and they're relaxing. They have a figure four, like, oh yeah, exactly.
What about a figure eight though? A figure eight's probably pretty brutal, right?
No, that's
just
a whole
lady legs tying you up. Yeah, you're right.
Just like it's as idiotic as the figure four, but you add the difficult balance. So
I'm telling you, man, we're gonna chain wrestle one day. I'm gonna change your tone on all of this. But there's no figure fours in this next segment, but there is Jim Cornette coming out to the ring.
I put on my Cornette glasses for this. Yeah.
I was trying to put my finger on what it was, but now you needed a racket. I really would have drove home the deal here, but Cornette's here and he's cutting a promo, but he's apparently very sick, and you can hear it in his voice. His voice is gone. But this whole segment here, so Cornette's, I don't even remember what he originally comes out for. He's like, Samoa Joe was, He's saying
Yeah,
Samoa Joe can't interfere in the main event, right?
exactly. That was the message. And it was interrupted by Kurt Angle for no reason whatsoever.
Well, he doesn't need Jim Cornette to be the buffer between him and Samoa Joe. You see, was his thought. By the way, I don't even know if I mentioned it, but the Impact before Bound for Glory is that famous headbutt spot between Kurt and Joe.
Yes.
When that was the first time Kurt showed up in the Impact Zone. It was a big moment, and that kind of sparked the feud between him and Joe. So that's where we're at here.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you put the biggest star you will ever have on a enforcer role, not letting him fight at the biggest event of the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be an enforcer.
That was very WCW.
Yeah. Oh, he'll make his presence known in the main event. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Might as well have been a triple threat match, man. But
yeah.
But so Joe can't interfere in the main event. But what he can do is run out right now and attack Kurt Angle, which is what he does. And they fight all around the ring. Security comes out. There's a big pull apart. I thought this was pretty good. It was pretty well done. They really put forward the hatred that these two guys have for each other. Two legit guys. It's a kind of a dream match at this point between these two. So, and they're built into that, which I like. I will say though, like I kind of said this in the beginning, it feels like this is like the only thing the company cares about right now, and everything else kind of seems secondary. But I don't know, man. What do you think about this segment here?
It was a stupid segment. I was really pumped. I was really pumped for Cornette. And when I heard that he did not have his voice, it was so fucking hilarious to me. I mean, he did his best, of course. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sick as a dog, but I have to be in intensive care to miss the biggest event of the year." You know, he sold it well. He sold it well, so people empathize with him. But it was very cool because he entered like shaking hands left and right, then announced he was very sick. And with my post-COVID era eyes, I was like, fuck, you shook everyone's hand.
That's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. But yeah, apart from that, I think it was quite a pointless promo. And I understand what they wanted to do with this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they just want to maximize the amount of Kurt Angle out there. That's pretty much
probably.
I guess is what the idea is. I'm kind of almost surprised they didn't just do Kurt and Joe at Bound for Glory.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that was probably the best idea, even if you didn't want to like go right away with that match. But I mean, you announced Kurt Angle a few days before. Right. So,
I mean, it was like a month before this.
Okay, cool. So if you want to, even better if it was announced a month before, and you already say that the Kurt Angle would be on the card, fucking put him in a match. I mean, not doing like the Bret Hart when Bret went to WCW. That's why I thought it was like an enforcer. Like, why? Why the fuck?
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have had to just shoehorn in Samoa Joe in that Monsters Ball match. You could have let Sting and Jeff Jarrett be more about those two rather than the Kurt Angle show in the main event. It was, I don't know, maybe there's a reason, but I can't really think of one. But it all's well that ends well. They eventually have a great match at Turning Point, I think, is the next pay-per-view. So,
of course. And as I always say, TNA Angle is the best angle. By far.
Perk Angle, man. Perk Angle is running wild. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Yes. So next match. What do we have?
We got the X Division title is on the line. You got the champion.
The Twitter division title.
Oh my God.
Isn't it?
Man, now it's all I can see.
Yeah.
We got old boy Senshi, the champion, defending against Chris Sabin.
Fucking banger.
I might throw a match of the night at this one. I don't know. What you think about it?
I mean, those last 3 to 4 matches were all good to very, very good in my opinion.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably this one was the one I enjoyed the most. Yeah, from a wrestling standpoint. Yeah, I loved it. And at the time, I remember I was a huge Loki or Senshi mark. I liked his style because it was so different from everything else. And it was good that I had no idea about his political opinions or view on vaccine and stuff like that. It was so life was better before Twitter.
Really was. Really
Yeah.
was. Ruins all your
Now-
favorite X Division stars.
Yeah. And in my notes about this match, I have this very interesting point that I'm sure you're gonna agree with, which goes like this. I bet Sabin had a lot of pussy at the time. Look at those hair. He looks like the guy from The Hangover, Bradley Cooper.
Yes. Chris Sabin is who I tried to look like when I was younger, but I failed miserably.
Yeah, of course. Man, I'm sure he had a lot of pussy at that time.
I mean,
let's discuss
probably.
this. How, like, a weekly average of pussy. That's, in
Okay.
your opinion, Chris Sabin
Right.
could have.
Weekly average. Let's see here. Well, we got to take into account that they're not traveling, right? Usually.
Yeah.
I don't know if that changes. They're in Florida, so it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel in Florida, I feel like. The quality, I guess.
Quality is probably not the best, yeah.
I mean, at least one a day, probably, right? Maybe you take Sunday off, so maybe 6 per week.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. But also doesn't double up.
Yeah, from everything from 6 to 10 is fair game, in my opinion.
Right. So then when he pairs up with Alex Shelley, then it's just
of course they're gonna tag team even in that, that situation.
Well, of course. That's how you bond with your tag team partner, I think.
But I don't know if you saw that on the tail of the tape before the match. There was this very intriguing thing about Chris Sabin. It was like from TNA to hell, ... Michigan, that is.
Fucking TNA, man. Okay. He's from Hell, Michigan, Chris Sabin, which is a place.
Yeah.
They had to add their corny little tail of the tape. I'm surprised they didn't make that more of like he didn't have like a demon gimmick or something. Honestly, in retrospect.
Probably. Yeah, but that looked like he hated Michigan. In my opinion, it was like, Michigan is hell, or something like that.
Oh, I see.
That sounded more like this to me. And I was pretty surprised because, of course, when they're going to form later on, man, we are old because we are talking at a time where the Motor City Machine Guns did not even exist. But when they were going to form the guns, they are all like, yeah.
Right here. This is where we live, everybody. Right here on this palm.
Yes.
So, yeah, we're not a long way from Motor City Machine Guns, but we are in the Motor City here, which I don't know how far hell is from Michigan. It didn't really. I was expecting more of a hometown pop for Chris Sabin. It was a decent little pop, but
yeah.
Chris Sabin, I should also say, so him, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal, they've been like a pack of guys, and they were advertising Jackass #2. So they were doing some cross promotion type stuff, and Sabin kept using stupid ways to win. He would throw a sex doll at his opponent and then kick through the doll. Like, crowd hated it. It was really stupid. But that's kind of the build here, is that like he's been like goofing off, and Senshi's been beating him because Senshi takes it seriously. So now here, Sabin is all business and was able to actually get the win because he put all that Jackass stuff behind him. So that's the story that they're kind of telling here. But do you remember any of that, by the way, like the Jackass stuff?
No.
It's for the best.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was thrilled by this match. Was a good match. Yeah, and I'm happy that Chris Sabin won because, I mean, look at him. He's like Bradley Cooper. He must have a lot of pussy. That's what I thought for the duration of the match. Like, mostly non-stop. I was like, man,
You're really reading in between the lines, huh? That's what they were telling in the story.
Yeah,
That's what the springboard drop kicks. That was like a pussy drop kick. You're saying?
yeah, something like that.
What about low key though? What do you think? What do you think low key's putting out there? What kind of numbers?
0 to 1 if he has a wife or something.
He's probably someone that fucks sheep or something, you know?
Probably. Yeah.
Or is like asexual. He probably like fucks himself if he could.
Yeah. He always has this look like as it smelled a fart, like, oh, you say pussy, like that. Whereas Chris Sabin was like, pussy, yeah.
Just two side by sides, just in case anybody's confused.
Yeah, or at least that's what I thought.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the story they're telling. They're artists painting the picture for us here.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I agree, man. I love this match. I thought Sabin, like all the Sabin's his hesitation drop kick, like all the springboard drop kicks, the suicide dives. He blocks. So Senshi does this move where like he'll set his opponent up on the top rope. He'll go in the opposite corner and do like a cartwheel into a backflip into a kick, but Sabin has it scouted at this point, like kicks him as he's upside down doing a cartwheel, which popped me. It looked really good and funny. There's another spot where Sabin does a Frankensteiner off the top rope, but Senshi rolls through into a stomp, which looked nasty. Mm-hmm. False finishes towards the end. Sabin hits a cradle shot.
There was a big pop for that stomp. It was the place.
It was so smooth. Yeah. He just puts all he like screams when he kicks guys too with that stomp, which makes it more powerful, I think, when you scream.
Of course.
But yeah, Sabin hits the cradle shock for a 2 count. Senshi hits his double stomp off the top rope, but Sabin is able to get his foot on the rope to stop the pin. Senshi puts on a dragon sleeper on Sabin, but Sabin's able to fight out and rolls him up into a small package. Pause. For the win. So Sabin gets the win.
A1.
He wins with the A1 here.
Yeah.
And new Twitter division
champion.
Hell yeah, buddy. But this is like a no limited frills, like no silly gimmicks or outside whatever. This is like the only match on the card that felt like just a good wrestling match, and they delivered, I thought.
And they took their times. I mean, it was like a match that went 100 miles per hour, but also they sold everything. Every move. They fucking took their time to sell stuff. And that was amazing.
The X Division was known for that, man. They were like the perfect, balance of like modern spot wrestling and like old school to me. Yes. Like it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But after that, we got something a little bit different. We got the 8 Mile Street Fight.
Speaking of fantastic, we have the backstage promo from Christian.
Oh yeah, do tell.
If you recall it, I don't know if you recall it, but Christian is so fucking such a master of this art.
Oh, he's so good.
And and at the time, I think I wasn't able to understand it 100%, but most of the people did not understand his brilliance, because he has those fucking heel promos, like the ones that he still cuts nowadays, that hit you in the most bastard way, subtle way. And he says a lot of stuff, but I popped when he insulted Rhino's aunt. Rhino's auntie, the way she cooks, stuff like that. He was able to put that in the middle of a promo. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, my first note here is that heel Christian just works. Like back in 2006 and today, like you see what he does as a babyface, and then what he does, because he came into TNA as a babyface, it was kind of mid, but then once he turned heel, man, and we were kind of fresh off that, still it just skyrockets. And what was it? Because him and Rhino, for anyone unaware, they've been friends for like 10 years at this point. They broke into the business together. Christian turned on Rhino, gave him a concerto, which gave him a concussion, which Rhino's still recovering from. But you can go out there and wrestle. It's fine. You're mostly good.
Yeah, of course.
Christian, yeah, like in the promo, he was, well, I guess you're not, I guess I'm not getting invited to Thanksgiving dinner this year. It doesn't matter. Your aunt's cooking sucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. I think it's a pretty strong feud. This one, probably one of the stronger feuds going in TNA at this point. Because the foundation's real, like they're friends and that there's history there, and they're two, even at this point, they're both veterans. So they're good. I mean, they do it really well. We got a street fight here. We're in Rhino's hometown, so he comes out,
of course,
through the crowd amongst his Detroit fans, and but ultimately the match starts outside in the parking lot. People getting bashed in the cars. It works its way back into the ring eventually, but lots of spots, lots of things happening in this match. Anything in particular catch your eye about this one?
This match is everything that Edge versus Orton at Mania 36 wasn't.
Okay.
If you recall that match, it was so fucking long and dragging, and they were on the WrestleMania PC, and in the backstage, they were like in the training room waiting, and at one point they went like above a trailer or something like that. And in this match, they went above a Zamboni, which is 10 times better, of course. Your moves
You're
hit
big
harder.
Zamboni mark.
Yeah, of course I am. Your moves hit harder if you do it on the Zamboni. Just like Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho when he does it on the announce table. It's
right. And
yeah. And so I was like, oh man. And from the Zamboni onward, I loved the match. I loved it. It was it was crazy. Like it was very spot heavy, but also again there was a lot of psychology in my opinion. And the finishing part, I don't know if I'm saying something I shouldn't, but the finishing parts when Christian Cage started to put the straight jacket on Rhino. That was so fucking cool because Rhino was selling his concussion, and it was like a blood mask, and Christian was fucking sadist. Like it was enjoying making Rhino suffer, only to have the tables turned. I don't remember exactly the moves, like move by move, but Rhino was in the straight jacket, could not move the arms, and was able to kick Christian down, and he just dropped with his head on Christian crotch, and that was so fucking brilliant. I don't think, honestly, as silly as it sounds, I don't think we see something like that today in wrestling. I mean,
straight jacketed headbutt to the balls. You don't think we'll see that in modern day wrestling?
Yeah, exactly. And that's wrestling how it should be.
You want more straight jackets and Zambonis in wrestling. That'll bring you back.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm with you. I can't disagree with that. But yeah, the straight jacket comes into play. But on the way there's an 8-mile street sign that gets used. They're whacking each other with. Around the ring, they got like little street lamps, which seems unnecessary, but they're like using it as what they're like big ass like street lamps. Like they're like 10 feet tall or whatever. They have to like unplug them though, which is funny. And they're swinging it like baseball bats at each other. Rhino hits a pile driver off the apron through a table, which looked pretty gnarly. But towards the end, so there's a table set up in the corner. Rhino goes for the gore through the table, but Christian gets out of the way and gores himself through the table. Christian then picks him right up, hits the unprettier on the debris of that table for a 2 count. I thought that was going to be the finish. Then he gets frustrated. Nothing he's doing is working. He hit him with 2 unprettiers before that, and they didn't get him. So he just piles all the table debris. There was a ladder. He throws that on top of them. The signs, the chairs, all of it. He's Rhino's under this pile of rubble, and Christian just bashes the chair on top of the rubble and on top of Rhino just over and over again. Wipes the shit away, pins Rhino. 1, 2, 3. Boom. And Christian gets the win. And it was like a very like desperation type of way to finish it, which I thought put over like the urgency, and it made it feel dramatic. Like I thought I really liked the finish and the build up towards it. So
yeah, it was basically an hardcore match, but it had also a lot of psychology, a lot of you really felt those elements of frustration from Christian because he's so fucking good again, and Rhino sold it perfectly. So yeah, I think it was a very good match.
Yeah, this is like. Huh?
No, sorry. Also, we never discussed that before, I think, but I'm also a huge Rhino mark. So, I mean, this match
really
had everything I like. Yeah. I like those thick tights. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's actually a good point. I didn't really think about that. You're a big thick thighs guy. So,
yeah, because
I support it.
Because, that gives the exact propulsion you need for a gore, which is way different than a spear. Yeah, it is way different than a spear. Yeah.
Some people are going to be enraged that you just said a gore is different than a spear, but I'm just going to let it lay there, and you're gonna have to deal with the hate mail, Frank.
Yeah, no problem. A gore is much better than a spear.
Well, that I can agree with, but yeah, it is the thick thighs though. Him and Goldberg, and who else would have a good spear? Tatanka would probably have a great spear if he used that.
Rikishi as well.
Rikishi, yeah. That's Roman Reigns has some pretty juicy thighs too. That's probably why his is so good.
Yeah.
And like Christian's is bad. Yeah. Well, speaking of thick thighs, we got 4 of them in this next match. Well, 5 of them really. We got the NWA World Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
On the line here in a 6 sides of steel match. It's a cage match, 6 sides. We got the champions, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, taking on the Latin American Exchange, team of Hernandez and Homicide, of course, accompanied by Conan.
How I hate Conan. God.
Not a big K-Dog guy?
No, not at all.
Orale, right?
Orale, yeah. No, I hate him, but yeah, of all the main matches of this card, this one is the one that fell more flat with me. I don't know why. Probably I'm just used to see AJ Styles in a different role, and that even in TNA. I mean, not only now in WWE, but that I don't know. That made me. I would have preferred like America's Most Wanted versus LAX. This kind of stuff. Probably.
Well, it seems like what we're building to. So you don't have long to wait.
Yeah.
Which they cut. LAX cuts up, or Conan cuts a promo before the match, and there's 3 phrases he says that I want to get your thoughts on. I'm just going to lay them out here: Little Oriental, Dirty Sanchez, and Rusty Trombone. Thoughts?
First one sounded a bit racist.
You think? Because they Hernandez gave the border toss to Gail Kim on Impact, which if you saw that clip, it looked brutal. He threw her all the way across the ring, and she folded up like an accordion. And Gail Kim is with AMW, so it seems like they're already building to an eventual feud between those two. But then I forget what the context of bringing up Dirty Sanchez and Rusty Trombone was, but
Dirty Sanchez, wasn't it like a sexual thing or something like that?
Oh, they both are. Yeah, for sure. I think a Dirty Sanchez is giving a blowjob whilst on the toilet. I think.
No, I did not know that. I knew that Dirty Sanchez. This is going to be like in 8th grade. I learned that Dirty Sanchez was like after you performed anal sex, you draw a pair of mustache on your lovers with your cock. and you look like a Mexican person, so Dirty Sanchez.
Right.
That way.
Let me see here. Dirty Sanchez. Okay, there's a band called Dirty Sanchez. If you're curious, Dirty Sanchez.
They play shitty music,
also known as the Fecal Mustache. So I guess you're right.
Oh,
I guess you're right. Look at us. More education from Frank here. Well, and a rusty trombone. I think you can kind of.
Okay.
With the,
okay, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you later off air. That'll be on the Patreon. But
yeah, of course.
My question here. So we got a tag team cage match. Why the fuck are we tagging in and out of this match? The cage match.
This is a
cage
question,
match.
Actually,
is it no DQ? Maybe I'm just assuming it's no DQ because also Homicide breaks out a fork, which is like his calling card, but he's like trying to hide it from the ref. It's like, oh fuck, it's a cage match. Like just do it in front of the ref. Hey ref, I'm gonna fork this guy. What are you gonna do about it? I don't know. I don't like that gesture I'm doing here, but you get my
rusty trombone. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I thought this was a solid cage match. I wouldn't say like they had an Ultimate X match at the last show, I believe it was, and that was fantastic. And they even had some other matches before that. I would say this is probably one of their weaker matches, but the feud is great. I mean, probably one of the best feuds, if not the best feud going on in TNA at this point. So I was all for it, but yeah, the match was like, it was solid is the way I could put it. There were some cool moments here, but
yeah, there was like the rapid succession. AJ Styles climbing up the cage, then doing a fantastic crossbody on Hernandez. Then Hernandez doing the same thing, climbing shakingly on the top of the cage, and throwing himself to nothing, to the canvas, basically. And then this is the foreshadow of before. What I said before was a foreshadowing that I have for you. I don't know if you recall another interesting director's choice for this moment, because after to show after the dive from Hernandez, they wanted to show some concern from the people, and they had the camera panned on this girl that had what I'm assuming was a piece of merchandise of Sting, which probably was like a plastic bat or something like that, but it really looked like a Sting dildo. So you had this girl with a Sting dildo, which was branded Sting on the top of the, and she had that beside her face. It was like, oh, with a Sting dildo here. And that took me completely off of the match. All I could think of was the Sting dildo from now on.
I can't say that I noticed in the moment, but I am definitely going to go back and review the tape because that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's just for a split second that you see that, but it's clearly a dildo with the handwritten Sting in red. It's a black dildo,
right?
Red writings, of course.
Okay, so it's not a dildo in the shape of Sting. It's a bat. Okay, that might hurt actually.
Yeah. But it looks like a soft stuff, like almost foam, like the foamy fingers. And this was the foamy dildo.
I hate a foamy dildo, personally. I mean, it just chafes you. It's not good. It's not good.
No.
But other than dildos, I mean, there's tequila makes its way into the match because they're Mexican.
Of course.
And they like tequila. So Homicide, by the way, isn't even Mexican, I don't think. He's like Puerto Rican. Neither is Conan. I think he's Cuban. Yeah. Hernandez probably isn't even Mexican either. Let me do a quick.
I think it's Puerto Rican as well. Like from Brooklyn or stuff like that.
Not Aaron Hernandez. Hernandez, wrestler. Let's see here. Yeah, because in 2006, every brown person was Mexican to people sometimes.
Of course.
So Let's see here. American professional wrestler, Latino World Order. Doesn't seem he's born in Texas. Many Hot Stuff Hernandez is his ring of honor name.
Homicide as Puerto Rican origins. So yeah, not Mexican.
I bet you he's Puerto Rican, Hernandez is, but we'll again, I'll review the tape and I'll let you know. I'll keep you abreast of the situation. But either way, the minority of them are Mexican. So, but tequila's here, so that makes them all Mexican. I guess is the takeaway here.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, like people jumping off the cage. We got forks. We got people getting thrown into the cage. But ultimately, what does it in for the team of AJ and Daniels is a coat hanger, because from the outside, Conan wraps a coat hanger around the neck of Christopher Daniels because he can't move, so he's holding him there and choking him. Meanwhile, middle of the ring, Homicide hits the Gringo Killer, which looked sickening on AJ's neck.
Yeah.
Further, he just said, take me, homie. You got it. And managed to come out unscathed, I would assume. So, but that gives LAX the win. So we got new tag team champions, Latin American Exchange. And I would assume they would go on to face AMW. And I can only imagine the promos between American Cowboys and the
illegal immigrants.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably something like that.
I imagine it all ages beautifully. So can't wait to get to that.
Absolutely.
I don't know, man. Any other thoughts on that? Yeah, again, it was solid, but I kind of expected more, like you.
I think I give like 5 to the match.
Out of 10?
Out of 10, yeah. Out of 10, I would say it's 5. It has a couple of good spots, like the AJ's dive, Hernandez dive, Sting's dildo. But
Sting dildo bumps it up a couple of stars itself, right?
Yeah, probably. But apart of that, I didn't. Probably is the one that I enjoyed the least out of the second portion of the pay-per-view.
Okay, that's actually fair. Yeah, between the X Division title match, a street fight, and the main event.
Yeah,
I'd probably put the main event at the bottom, personally, for me. Which is weird to say, but that's where we're at now. We got the main event. We got the NWA World Title on the line versus the career of Sting. We got the champion, Jeff Jarrett.
Which we know ended in 2006, his career, right?
Right. Never did one thing after that. You're gosh darn right.
Yeah.
But so yeah, if Jarrett wins, he obviously retains his title, but also Sting has to retire. And if Sting wins, obviously he wins the title. So, and also the special enforcer, as we mentioned, Kurt Angle. And so there's a lot going on here. The match is what it is. It was a fine match, I thought. To me, it wasn't as good as I remember, though. And I think, do you think there was too much Kurt Angle in this match?
No, I wouldn't say that. Probably there was too much Kurt Angle on the pay-per-view in general, because they wanted to put him in every possible situation without having a match. So, that I think that's why you feel this way about it. I did not mind the match. Wasn't anything extremely memorable, but I remember enjoying it. Yeah, and Sting was in incredible shape. I think probably he hasn't been in that good of a shape since 89 or something like that. Right. In WCW, he never was in that good shape. Never. He always hit his back and abdomen and stuff like that.
Right. Well, Surfer Sting was in great shape, but then once the Crow Sting came along, it was pretty much like this, I guess.
Yeah.
But it was 10 years before, so he was younger. So it's all more impressive, to your point, that he's in this good of shape. What do you think of his look here? Like, is the red tights and the glittery jacket?
Red tights, I liked it. Glittery jacket was like in the beginning. I saw when it came out. TNA often had this camera behind the wrestler. So the only thing, it was like in his pose, opening his arm, but from the behind, you only see this like mega glittering stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, oh, I did not remember Lady Gaga debuting in TNA.
A little known fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard Sting and Lady Gaga compared before this moment. So
Me neither. So you can imagine my surprise to see the
Right.
jacket and everything.
I thought it was kind of cool, man. I remember it being, I don't remember enjoying this look, but watching it back, I thought it was kind of, because it was kind of an homage. The tights were kind of more like his surfer gimmick style. They were red. They were like almost like football pants. They had like the padding in the front, and then the jacket was like, oh, I thought it was kind of cool. I'm surprised they never broke it out more. I mean, obviously it would go back to the more iconic black and white deal, which is probably for the best, but for this type of show, I think it worked. But yeah, the match itself, it was solid. Again, I mean, Jarrett and Sting, two veterans, you kind of know what you're gonna get. It was, both guys are hitting their finish, like Scorpion Death Drop gets a 2 count, Stroke gets a 2 count. But there's also points in the match where it like becomes a brawl on the outside, and each guy is trying to use chairs and stuff against each other. But Kurt Angle's very present in this match. He keeps grabbing the chairs out of guys' hands to stop them from whacking each other.
And keeps pushing Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah. And at one point, both guys are down, and the ref is about to count to 10. But once he gets to 9, Kurt Angle gets in there. He doesn't just ask the ref to stop. He just angle slams the ref. Fuck you. I'm the referee now, says Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Look at me.
So you're a man. You're a wise man, and you know a lot about wrestling history and wrestling rules. So, how official is it every time a wrestler gets knocked down? Some type of like authority figures which aren't referees, and they count the 1 to 3. How official is that to you?
To me, it's official if they rip the previous referee's shirt off and put it on, or unveil a referee's shirt under their existing shirt. To me, that's what makes it official. But
which is not the case in this particular event, because Kurt Angle was dressed like Kurt Angle.
He's just shirtless. He was a shirtless ref, I think. Yeah. So,
it was shirtless.
I'm all for it. But Jake Roberts also didn't have stripes. But I think he said he was scared of stripes, which is the thing.
Yeah, yes, he said something like that. Yeah, before harassing Jeremy Borash.
I don't know.
But yeah, he said something like that. But also, he was like the official referee, even if he was dressed differently. Like if you're an enforcer, you're some sort of an authority figure, I guess, but not that official as a referee, in my opinion.
Right.
Same goes for when Rob Van Dam won the WWE Championship. If you remember, it was Paul Heyman, the one who counted 1 to 3. So it was like, is that really real?
Well, CCW, man, there's no rules. I guess it's the same for TNA.
Yeah, TNA figures. No rules. Yeah, totally not authority figures.
Not at all. But when Jarrett at one point locks it an ankle lock right in front of Kurt Angle onto Sting, which I thought was a funny moment.
Yeah.
But ultimately Sting.
I think that later he will do to Kurt Angle's wife.
Whew, yeah, it's in hindsight. By the way, speaking of wives, let's talk about this. So at this point, Jeff Jarrett's wife has been battling cancer for like 10 years at this point. And she actually eventually passes away the following May. And I think at this point, she's having pretty significant health issues.
Okay.
And I think that's, as far as I remember, I think that's why Jeff kind of leaves TV for a while after this.
Okay.
But I think it's almost like, maybe I'm looking too far into it, but it's almost like his heart wasn't in this match. Like even in the impacts leading up to this, there wasn't a lot of like, because they have been building to this matchup since Sting debuted, like at the beginning of the year, like 10 months before this. This didn't really feel like a satisfying conclusion to me, but with his wife's health issues, but also Kurt Angle kind of coming in and becoming a significant part, I feel like the culmination of this story wasn't as strong as maybe it could have been, but there's, forces outside of people's control and that things happen. But yeah, also that being said, I mean, that's to know that. And then also Jarrett and Kurt are in the same ring, and then Jarrett would take his wife. And, it was craziness, man. Wrestling's crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Sting grabs his big black dildo, goes to hit Jarrett with it, but Kurt Angle takes his big black dildo, turns around and sticks it in his own ass, I think. I might have missed it. But while he's doing that, Jarrett grabs his guitar, smashes Sting in the head with it. Sting doesn't feel a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Scorpion Deathlock, tap out, new champ, the Stinger. Confetti, I think, right? Maybe. Sting wins, new champ. I feel like this is how they would always end their Bound for Glories for like 5 years straight, is Sting.
Yeah. It was undefeated for so many years. And in this match, I noticed that he pulled out the Tombstone Pile Driver.
That could have gone so wrong because Jarrett was going for the Tombstone, and then Sting countered it, and they like almost fell forward, but Sting just had to commit to the Tombstone. If Jarrett wasn't ready, that could have been really bad. But
but I mean, maybe it's just me that I'm pretty ignorant on this. But do you remember Sting ever using the Tombstone in his WCW days or something like that?
Not that I've seen. I think he's definitely used it. I don't think he's won with it as far as I mean, I'm sure he has. I just don't remember. But I know in the video game that's one of his signature moves. So he must have used it at some point.
So he must have used it. Okay. That's it.
That's binding.
I was like, was that like a sign to the WWE? Because at the time, the Sting versus Undertaker, it was like. Every year at WrestleMania, people said, "Oh, what if?" I thought that could have been like, he wanted to send a message or something like that. But if it's not, if he already used the move earlier, I'm totally wrong.
Right. I mean, it could have been the influence from the beginning whenever he first used it. But yeah, to your point, it was definitely this time period where a Sting versus Undertaker match would have had the most like intrigue as far as like where both guys were physically and what they've done in their career. But shame that never happened. But at least we got Sting throw it out of Tombstone.
Not that they were on the same card and they decided to have Sting lose to Triple H and Undertaker do a meaningless match in broad daylight with Bray Wyatt.
Oh, what a wacky WrestleMania that was, man.
Oh, what a shitty one.
How dare you? There were some good ones.
No, just the Intercontinental Ladder match was a good one.
Rusev had sex in a tank.
Yeah, I mean...
Come on.
But the match wasn't good.
Well, he came. That's all that matters. But speaking of which, speaking of blowing your load all over a tank and Lana, what are any other thoughts on Bound for Glory 2006?
No, it was a great match. 8 out of 10 would recommend it. And as you said, probably the X Division, the X Championship match was the best one on the card. Yeah, I think. Second one, I would say, was the 8 Mile Street Fight. And but overall, a very enjoyable show. It had everything that we like about TNA except Monty Brown.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much gone at this point. I don't know if it's official or not, but I know. Yeah,
I think so. I think so because the next year in 2007, it will be at WrestleMania. As Marcus Corvon in the revamped ECW.
What a time, man. Can't wait to get to that someday.
What a time to be alive. I really, really remember liking that match only because it was Rob Van Dam on one side and Monty Brown on the other one.
Hey, Matt Stryker was there, right?
In his teacher's face, yeah.
Well, might have been it's a quick turnaround for Marcus Corvon, and you might say it's a last minute kind of insertion into the WWE. But speaking of last minute, Franklin, once again, thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for checking out this old pay-per-view, coming on talking about it. Where can everybody find you? And I know you said you're kind of on a hiatus right now, but What do you got for the
Yeah.
people? Where can people find you?
I'm still on Twitter, or X for you young kids who like to X. And I'm still on Twitter at LMW Podcast. I don't know for how long, but you can still find me there. It's the best place to find me at the moment. And let's discuss some wrestling and have an incredibly civilized conversation about what's going on in the wrestling world, which is what the wrestling fans do best, to share their opinion and to listen and learn from other people.
Right. Very reasonable, just level-headed, back and forth. That's what X is all about.
Yes. This is the best commercial we could have recorded.
Yeah. I mean,
about Wrestling X.
Wrestling Society X? Is that what you want to cover next? Is that what you're telling me? Let's get some Tyler Black in here.
Yeah.
Huh?
Of course. And some electrocuting people or something like that.
Ah, yes. And rusty trombones, I can only assume.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you to Frank for joining me on this show. Always a good time with Franklin, whatever his real name is. Go follow him on all the social medias. Go check out the Last Minute Wrestling podcast. Do all of those things. Give the boy a kiss on the cheek, a tweedle on the nipples, and do the same to me at the same time. Perhaps you have two hands. I think that about does it, right? I think we about did it. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor to have my voice enter your ear holes, or however you digest this. Maybe you're watching. Hey, I'm on YouTube, by the way. Why don't you give this video a like, a comment, a subscribe, a spank on the ass, a kiss on the a slap in the dick, and all right. You know what? Just don't do any. You know what? Unsubscribe to me for the. Just kidding. Don't do that. Yeah. With that, let's get out of here. You. Hey, come on. Stop. You guys gotta go. No, these guys. These strong guys or something. Anyone that gets that reference is my best friend. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love you all. I'm hard.
And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and